Hello everyone, it is ya boy, Mr. Tag! And today I'm doing something a little bit different. I say that every time, I can't help myself. So as you can see on the screen, I'm doing a bit of a discussion video on about innovating in Edison format, as you know, you found out by the title, and also what perfecting or perfection of a deck also means in Edison format versus innovation. So what am I talking about here? Well, I'm going to just define both these terms how I understand them. Then we're going to go through examples of other players doing this and myself doing these things as well. So, innovation. In Edison format, my definition is bringing together a new deck that no one has seen before or topped with before. That is one rule to remember, topping with it before, because there are so many decks that people have played in Edison, but they don't top for one reason or another. You know, either the cards, the focus isn't good, or maybe the player's not up to scratch, but then someone else takes the deck and allows it to top at a big event, and howdy doody, the deck's good now. So probably the most recent example, although it didn't top the RBET itself, it did go undefeated in pods. So there was the creature swap, remove brainwashing golem deck. It was remove brainwashing beatdown was the deck title. Deck that was featured on the weekend. So basically, yeah, you played your lava golems, your volcanic queens, your grinder golems. You give those cards to your opponent. Then you remove brainwashing ideally, or owner's seal. You get them back, and you just destroy your opponent like that. Great deck. I've tried using like grinder golem and lava golem myself in the past, in a similar way. But since I don't know, I try and play with copies of cards that I know I have or I can order easily, and since I didn't have remove brainwashing, I didn't try it. So, but hey, the deck did well enough to get, it has a deck profile on YouTube you can check out. It's really good, and I think hopefully now that someone has innovated and brought a new deck together, other people will now perfect the deck and make it as good as it can be. So perfection, I think I've just explained it pretty well already. It's essentially, hey, you've got this deck, maybe it's been innovated recently or it's been around for a while, but there's, it could be better. It's topped. Maybe it's in one event, but it could be better. Probably a really good example of this is Amaryllis. I believe it was Carpath who first brought Amaryllis to the forefront with the burn variant with volcanic counters in the Amaryllis deck. That deck, it topped but never won. And I think it took eventually, I can't remember if it was Keza who first actually, did he top or did he win? He may have topped as well. But the Theft Amaryllis build became the best build. Or similar variants of that. So that's more perfecting a deck. That may not be perfect, but it's certainly been built upon and made better, as time has gone by. And I think it's very obviously, if a deck has not done well, then it's really hard to perfect it if it hasn't done well in the first place, right? But I believe it's more attractive to players to look at a deck that's done well and go, how can I make this even better? Because some people just like, they want to play the good decks, but maybe they also want to put their own spin on it. Other people, like myself, like to innovate and try and make new decks and try and bring them to the forefront, to varying degrees of success. So I'm going to get into it now. So innovating in Edison format, I think, it's very rewarding. Mostly because if you find a combo or a line or something, really niche that people haven't thought of, there aren't these pesky things called hand traps, which can just stop your fun in their tracks. I believe once you get to Tengu, there's Vela. I think Droll as well, but Droll wasn't really that popular. And Maxi. As well, DD Crow exists in Edison format, and you've got the Herald of Orange Light as well, and Karibo and Gauze and stuff. But typically, if you find this line, or you find a combo, or you find a new cool thing to do, generally don't have to worry about things just halting your fun until at least game 2. Then, you know, stuff comes in and it becomes a bit harder to do. But also, you also got to remember there's these pesky things called traps as well, which can also halt progress, which I think can halt a lot of innovation, because some people, hey, like myself, we keep forgetting these purple cards exist, and we can't just pull off a 20-card combo like we would in modern format if hand traps didn't exist. So, what's an example of myself with innovation? I think the deck I'm well known for is probably this one here. The Illblood Zombie Vise, Illblood Invasion, you know, a Super Blood deck. How far did it get? I bubbled locals. Is that really innovating if it only really did well in the locals? Probably not. By my own definition, it didn't top a big event. But at least what I wanted to do was to actually put emphasis on Illblood. Right? No one was taking this card seriously. No one thought this card's any good. Nah, you just play Zombie Master, you know. Oh, you know, you have to summon it twice, etc., etc. Even though without even playing, you know, Supervise, you can bring this back into Mizuki, or call the Haunted, or summon it with the Pyramid Turtle. And then you get the effect essentially for free. And then I'd like to thank E3 Yu-Gi-Oh Keegan with his not zombie decks like the you know, the Diva Rushdown sort of deck, which ran in Illblood because it was better than Zombie Master, and now people are taking the card seriously. So I think that's one. While he didn't innovate on my specific build, you know, he didn't just go, oh, you know, these are the bad zombie cards, take them out, put some new cards in, you know, with a better Illblood Super Blood deck. But we put the focus on a card which people were not thinking about. So I think, hey, mission accomplished. And another deck I want to bring up is Gigaplant. Not Gigavise. Gigaplant. This deck, you can find it on my channel, this particular video. So it's been there for over a year now. I was testing Gigaplant out for ages. And I got second place with it at my locals. See, I generally don't share decks unless I do well with them. And if I can do well with them, someone can make it better. Now, this more control Gigaplant style didn't really catch on. Again, Gigavise became the hotness. But I think people are starting to realize, hey, maybe those UFO turtles we were laughing at before, that's the future of Gigaplant / Gigavise decks. Now, probably an example of attempting, I'm not saying I did, of attempting to perfect a deck would be Psychic OTK. One of the two decks I'm known for, along with, you know, the Zombie Vise thing. This is what I focused my channel on for so long, originally. So this is not my deck, not my idea. I tried to run Psychics before I got all the cards for it. I tried to run Psychics before. Couldn't figure it out. Then I found a list by Sean Vo with a Psychic OTK list, and I thought, now this was the critical thinking I was missing. I might have got it eventually, but I just scrapped it. I was like, no, I can't think of this right now. I don't know how to do it. And then that list came up. I'm like, okay, this is innovating. How can I make this better? Did I make it better? That's for debate, because with this deck, I have a different deck building philosophy. I believe it needs to go all in on the combo. Sean Vo plays a lot more trap cards. Which, you know, hey, I haven't played in any pods, you know, regionals, RBETs, or UTWs. So, really, Sean Vo's version would still be considered the better version, because it has actually got results at something bigger than a local, right? But, again, this is my attempt at perfecting a deck. So I think you can see where I'm going with this, right? Innovating in Edison format is very, very rewarding. There are so many cards which haven't been explored. There are some cards that haven't been explored for a reason. because they're not good. If I may bring up an example, I don't have a picture, but if anyone's familiar with Divine Dragon Excellion, I thought, oh, I can make this card work. Oh yeah, a card which needs a copy of itself in the graveyard to basically be slightly stronger than a monarch with no effect. Only becomes good if it has 2 copies of itself in the graveyard. Yeah, let's try and make this work. No. There's a reason that card has not been explored, because it is not good. But maybe someone can do it. But I think, no, that card is not good. There's no point building around it. But essentially, I think that we also need to talk about how I probably should have started with this. But again, my whole thing is just thoughts at you, thoughts at you, thoughts at you. I think of an idea and then I just go with it. I don't script. I just get some basic things I want to talk about, and then I go, let's see what we can do with this. So I think the thing that you might want to be thinking about now, or might want to answer or want an answer to, is how do I innovate in Edison? People are coming with new builds every day. Then you just got to get it recognized. But how do I do it? First thing you need to do is play Edison format. Know what's good. Know how these decks work. And then see if you can build a deck which can do similar things or something completely different which people don't expect. For example, okay, this is more perfecting, right? Because taking Amaryllis and doing something different with it. But here I thought, okay, Amaryllis is good. We know Amaryllis is good. We know heroes are good. Plants have access to a Monster Reborn. Titanial is the best card in an Amaryllis deck. What can we do with that? We build a deck which not only has the threat of Absolute Zero, which is a really good card, threat of getting burnt out by Amaryllis, which is a really good card, but a deck that also revolves around constantly reviving 1 copy of Titanial and just keeps it constantly on the field. And that is really, really hard for some decks to deal with. But what was its weaknesses? Blackwings. And why is that a problem? Because Blackwings, probably this, I say even probably either, they're probably more popular than Value Turbo. Value Turbo gets the most results, but Blackwings, since they're pretty, beginner friendly, probably the most popular deck in Edison. So if we're thinking about this deck as being an innovation, now we need to move to perfecting it. But again, how do we innovate? So we've got this concept of the best way to do it after you've played a lot of Edison, find a card to build your deck around. Find this card. For this deck, it was Titanial. That was the build around. So what did I do? Went, okay, how can I get Titanial back if it gets destroyed? Lord Poisons get it back. What can I do if it gets banished? There's DDRs in this deck to get it back. So then this constant cycle of Titanials. That is one way of innovating. The other way is you can try and find cards that have not been explored, like I said. And it's much harder to do, because trying to find these good cards which have not been touched is very difficult. I mean, Edison, there is a finite amount of cards, so eventually, we're going to run out. But maybe you'll find something that works for you, or maybe you'll instead try and perfect a deck instead. Like I tried again with Psychic OTK. I attempted to make it better than what it was. Perfecting a deck is easier, 100%. You've already got your concept, and I would strongly suggest, especially if you're newer to Edison, perfecting a deck you are good with, that you have played a lot before. So you can look at the deck and go, okay, here are 38 cards or 37 cards I really like. But there's like 3 cards I'm not a fan of. And they have not put up results. So you can go, okay, let's cut these 3 cards out and try these 3 cards. And see how you go. That is a really good start. And then maybe those cards don't put up results, so you try 3 other cards, etc., etc., etc. I think there are a few decks where they're kind of at the precipice of being perfect anyway. Value Turbo, since it has had so many results. That deck is essentially, of course there are, depending on the meta, you might change a couple of cards around. Just in case, you know, frogs blow up, there might be certain cards you'd play over other cards. But that deck is basically solved. You can't really touch Value Turbo. There's a reason it's the best deck in the format, right? And people side against it. Frogs, I'd say, have a bit more space, a bit more wiggle room. There's different variants of frogs, of course. Maybe you'd find your own variant you want to play. So, because you got your Frog Monarch, you got your Hero Frogs, you got your Fishborg Frogs, you got your Dream Frogs. All these different frogs. And then obviously a Treeborn Frog is a really good extender, right? Comes back, and you sack it for something. Maybe you'll find something different that'll work for you. That's just, you know, one example. Again, I think we have to start on a linear path. You need to start by playing Edison format with a deck that you like, preferably one that's good, but if you want to play something that's not necessarily tiered, you can. So you do that. Then you attempt to perfect that deck. Do not, and that's the one thing I need to say, do not change a topping deck list if you are new to Edison format. First up, play that deck as it is on the screen. Grab that deck and play it. Then you're going to perfect it. And then once you've perfected it, maybe you've played however many games with this deck now, and you're like, okay, I'm done playing Value Turbo, I'm done playing Black Wings, I'm done playing Amaryllis, I don't play other decks. Then you jump into trying to innovate, knowing the strengths and weaknesses, not only the deck you've been playing for so long, but also all the other top contenders, and trying to see what you can do to try and get something else into the forefront of Edison format. So obviously, here's one that I posted recently was Ninjas. I know there are reasons why this deck probably wouldn't top a big event. It has several weaknesses, most of them being that the ninjas available in Edison format are not good. That is its biggest weakness. You're playing Ninja Grandmaster Sasuke, Strike Ninja, and maybe White Ninja. That's basically what you're going to be playing. But, and also the problem with it is, the best target is Dark Samorg, and when your opponent sees that coming, they're going to have counters for it. But it also means people don't expect it either. And that's where innovation is at its best, when people don't expect these decks. That's why having slight variations of good decks may not necessarily get to the forefront, because people expect to play against the Black Wings, the Frogs, etc. No one would expect to play against Ninjas. No one would expect to play against an Amaryllis deck with heroes in it. Just like, and no one would expect, you know, to begin with Machina Hero. Although I could have told you that deck is not that great to begin with. I tried that deck ages ago. There's a reason on the channel. People don't expect those types of innovations, and that's where you can get results. And again, maybe like this ninja deck, right, that I've posted, maybe it could be made better. I can't see how. I think that the variation, I tested this deck extensively. There's like 4 different deck lists on this video. And you can see how my ideas came about and how it gradually got better. And I even say, I think the list I posted, there's probably 2 cards you can still swap out. But it could surprise people. And that's what you need to do. So I think that is essentially all my thoughts on this. It's very rambly. There was no coherent structure to this besides from defining what innovation and perfection are, to me, in Edison format. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this sort of thing. I know I normally have jank replays for you guys, but I haven't got anything that exciting. Hey, here we go. Here we go. I've got one for you. I was trying to innovate roids, right? I was trying to think, how can I make roids better? Let me see if I can get the list for you guys while still speaking about it. How can I make roids without just building off of the Machina roid variant that there was out there that did top ones? How can I do that? Well, as you can see, I just basically built off that. I just did basically build off that idea, but with more roids in it. And mainly because, did you know roids have a draw 2? A really bad draw 2. It requires your opponent to attack into your roids, and you can only control machine roids. But, you know, it draws 2 cards. And of course, Express Roid is a +2. Now, what you're plussing with are mainly bad cards, but it's still a +2. And of course, Armoroid, you get this back and make it a pitch for Machine Fortress. And as you can see, I put some heroes in there because heroes, here's the thing, you're playing either a better variant of the deck you were playing, or you're playing a worse hero deck, right? But the idea behind the heroes as well was, I'm playing trade-in, and Stratos can search Plasma, which is level 8. Are you normally summoning Plasma? Probably not. But the option's there. And like I said, it's just a free pitch for a trade-in to draw more cards. And obviously you want to get this in the graveyard, because we're not summoning this. We want it in the graveyard. We want it in our hand. We want it in the graveyard so we can get it back into our hand. Then we can summon Machine of Fortress from the graveyard. Now, like I said, I remember this build being put to the forefront when it topped once. Until people realised they could just play Machine of Force, which is searchable with Gear Frame. Which is fair enough. Like I said, most of the roids not called Express Roid are really bad. Steam Roid in Edison format is not terrible. It becomes 2300 when it attacks, which is, that beats over any normal summon, you know, level 4 or lower, right? So that's really good. But then I'm also playing, like, you know, Drill Roid is okay because it beats any defense position monster. Submarine Roid is a water that can attack directly and doesn't get hit by Bottomless, I suppose. I suppose the good thing about this deck too is it doesn't get hurt by deck dev that much, which is another card you got to really think about now. And when you're innovating, because Value Turbo is the best deck, and Deck Devastation Virus was huge at not the RBT just gone, but the RBT before that. It's a huge card that you got to consider now. So that's another thing with innovating. You got to know what the meta is if you want to top and bring a card and bring a deck to the forefront. Because if your deck loses deck to deck devy, I don't know what to tell you. It's probably not going to do very well. Unless you can somehow get a run against no Value Turbo, or only one Value Turbo, and you can take that loss. Anyway, now I should be done. I've rambled on way, way, way too much. But I hope you guys enjoyed this rambly discussion video. I just haven't been very creative lately, and also when I have been creative, I haven't had opportunities to record. Actually speak to you guys, not just throw out, here's another replay video. Woo! I think I prefer to have a discussion first, and then go into the video proper, or the replay proper. Anyway, guys, hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for sticking around. If you stuck around till the end, please remember to like, share, subscribe. If you didn't stick around to the end, well, you won't see this anyway. So, you're a poop head. Ha, gotcha. Got him! Alright, guys, I'll catch you guys in the next one.